About 3 million Americans struggle with gut health, and there has been limited understanding of how sensory pathways guide the process until now.
And joining us is Scripps researcher Rocio Servin-Vences to tell us more about the study and, of course, the findings. Thank you for joining us here in the Fox 5 studios.
Thank you for the invitation.
Tell us a little bit about this new study about sensory neurons. What is it and how does it control our GI tract?
So, yeah, this is a little bit of background. So, for instance, when we eat, like food arrives to our stomach, but in order to be digested, it has to travel to the small intestine and then to the colon. So, and these movements need to be extremely well coordinated. And in general, we knew that there were some neurons that regulate these, but we didn't know many details about this very important process. And what we discovered is that a molecule called piezo-2 is able to detect these food arriving to our gut. And then what it says, or what it signals to the gastrointestinal tract is, okay, we have to slow down to digest and absorb the nutrients.
All right, so now you are studying how these neurons work, right? So what is the effect? How is it going to help people knowing this information?
Yes, so that's a very good question. So the other thing that we discovered is that because these molecules can slow down the transit, what we think is that in the future we can possibly leverage this molecule to either help with problems in which the transit goes too fast, like diarrhea, or when it goes too slow, constipation.
Oh, so you can actually regulate the timing.
So that would be the goal. We do not have that information yet, but just because we know what this molecule is doing, in the future probably we can do that.
If this is an issue that affects 1% of people in our country, a lot of people, 3 million people, why hasn't it really been explored in this way till now?
Yes, so it's actually difficult to have access to study the gastrointestinal tract, and it is also a very complex system. So there are neurons that can regulate it, also epithelial cells that live in the gut, muscle cells that live in the gut, and microbiota, and that's why it has been very difficult. It's difficult to make like a full understanding of all these systems working together.
There are a lot of diseases, inflammatory bowel disease. You have, like you were saying, diarrhea, things like that, C. diff. Those are the things that affect us in our gut. What should a healthy gut actually feel like?
A healthy gut, you shouldn't feel any pain. That's very important. Actually, how it should feel is you shouldn't feel anything. Normally, we realize that our gut is there just when there is a problem, because we have a pain or because we have an urgency. So actually, if we don't have any of that, that means that our gut is working very well.
So help us understand exactly what we're doing here at Scripps. Okay, so you're studying these neurons. What does that entail? Like when you say you're studying it, what has been discovered? What's next in the process? What's like the end goal?
So what we study these neurons, but we are focused on this molecule called piezo-2. And this molecule was discovered by our lab in 2010 by Professor Arden Pataputian, who won the Nobel Prize for the discovery of this molecule. So we are looking at how this molecule affects different aspects of our physiology. And it turns out that it is expressed in neurons, and that's why we went into that pathway.
So this is building upon Nobel-worthy discoveries here in San Diego.
Yes.
Very cool.
So much more to come. It's wide and vast, all the things that we eventually will discover with this.
Yeah.
Rocio, thank you so much for coming here. We appreciate you. Thank you. All right, you're watching the Fox 5 News at 1 o'clock. We will be right back after this break.